Do you ever look at someone, a painter, a writer, a musician, even a friend who's amazing at cooking or decorating their home, and think, wow, they're so creative. I wish I had that. Do you ever feel like you have a blank page in your head where the ideas are supposed to be? It's like everyone else got a special download for creativity, and your connection was just bad. You tell yourself, I'm not an artist. I'm just not a creative person. And that thought feels heavy, right? It feels like a door is closed to a part of life that looks really beautiful and exciting from the outside. You sit down to try something new, maybe write a short story or sketch something, or even just figure out a new business idea, and your mind is completely empty. It's just static. Or worse, the only voice you hear is the one that says, "This is going to be terrible. Who are you kidding? You don't know what you're doing." So you give up. You close the notebook, put away the pen, and go back to what feels safe, what feels normal. But that little feeling of wanting to create something, anything, it doesn't really go away. It just sits there, making you feel a little bit stuck. Well, what if I told you that this whole idea of creative people and non-creative people is a complete myth? What if creativity isn't a special skill that some people are born with, but a fundamental part of being human that everyone has access to? That's the mind-blowing idea behind this incredible book, The Creative Act: A Way of Being, by the legendary music producer Rick Rubin. This book isn't a step-by-step guide. It's something much deeper. It's a new way of looking at the world and at yourself that unlocks the creativity that's already inside you. And trust me, it's a game changer. If this sounds like something you need in your life, do me a quick favor and hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps. Today, we're going to dive into some of the most powerful ideas from this book. We're going to talk about why everyone, including you, is already a creator. We'll explore this crazy idea that the universe is constantly broadcasting ideas, and our only job is to learn how to tune in. And we'll talk about how to deal with that annoying voice of self-doubt that holds us all back. And listen, you absolutely have to stick around until the end. Reading a book like this is one thing, but actually, using its ideas is what matters. So at the end of this video, I'm going to share a very personal story with you. I'm going to show you step by step how I use the principles from this book to finally start a new hobby I've been putting off for years because I thought I wasn't good enough. I'll show you how I went from being totally stuck and full of excuses to actually creating something I'm proud of. It's the practical proof that these ideas really work. Part 1. You are already an artist. Okay, so let's start with the biggest, most important idea in the entire book. It's right there at the beginning, and it changes everything. Rick Rubin says, everyone is a creator. Now, hang on. I know what you might be thinking. Not me. I can't even draw a straight line. My singing makes dogs cry. We have this really narrow definition of what an artist is. We picture someone with a paintbrush in a messy studio or a musician on a big stage. But Rubin says that's not the whole picture, not even close. He says, to create is to bring something into existence that wasn't there before. Think about that for a second. It's so simple, but so powerful. Did you have a conversation with a friend today? You created that. Did you figure out a new way to drive home to avoid traffic? You created that. Did you rearrange the furniture in your living room, cook a meal, or even just write a nice note to someone? You created all of that. These are all creative acts. What you make doesn't have to be sold or put in a museum or get a million views online to count as art. The truth is, we are all creating every single moment of every single day. Our brains are constantly taking in information from the world around us, sights, sounds, smells, and they are building our reality from that information. The world you experience isn't just out there. You are actively building it inside your own mind. In the most profound way, your life itself is your greatest work of art. You know what's crazy? This idea completely removes the pressure. If you're already a creator, just by being alive, then there's no pressure to suddenly become one. You don't have to earn the title of artist. It's your birthright. It's just a part of being human. Living as an artist isn't about making paintings or writing songs. It's a way of being in the world. It's about paying attention. It's about noticing what you like and what you don't. It's about making choices from what you wear to how you spend your time. Your entire life is a form of self-expression. You are a singular work of art. Part 2. Tuning in to the universe. So if we are all creators, where do the ideas come from? This is where things get really interesting. Rubin suggests that we think of ourselves as an antenna. And the universe? It's a giant radio station constantly broadcasting signals, ideas, thoughts, and inspiration. All the time. 24/7. He calls this tuning in. The universe is in a state of eternal creative unfolding. Trees blossom. Rivers create new paths. Cells replicate. Everything is energy. Everything is creating. And just like a tree creates fruit, humanity creates works of art. A beautiful bridge, an amazing meal, a simple tool. These are all just expressions of that same universal energy flowing through us. Have you ever had an idea for something? Maybe a business or a story and you didn't act on it? And then a year later, you see someone else has done it. Your first thought might be, they stole my idea. But Rubin offers a different perspective. It's not that they stole it. It's that the idea's time had come. The signal was being broadcast, and that person just happened to be the one who received it and acted on it. The ideas are floating out there for everyone. The best artists, he says, are just the ones with the most sensitive antennae. They are better at picking up the faint signals that are always in the air. Their job isn't to invent something from nothing. Their job is to be open, to receive the message, and then to translate it into a form that they can share with the world. So, how do we become better antennae? How do we tune in more clearly? The answer is not to try harder. It's actually the opposite. It's about creating an open space in your mind, a space that isn't packed with worry and plans and judgments. It's about getting back to a more childlike state of being. Think about how kids see the world. They are curious about everything. They don't have a bunch of old beliefs telling them what's possible and what isn't. An ordinary rock can be a spaceship. A cardboard box can be a castle. They live in the moment, full of awe and wonder. That innocent, open state of mind is the perfect frequency for receiving creative ideas. The more we can let go of our adult way of thinking and just be open and curious, the more we can tune in to the universe's broadcast. Part 3. Your senses are the tools. To help us tune in, we have an amazing set of tools. Our senses. But most of the time, we don't really use them. We just let the world wash over us. The key, Rubin says, is to practice awareness. Awareness is different from normal thinking. Normally, we have a goal. We make a plan. We try to control things. Awareness is the opposite. The world is the doer, and we are the witness. We just notice what's going on around us and inside us without any judgment. It's a practice of just being present. Imagine you're looking at a flower. Your first instinct might be to think, oh, that's a rose. It's red. It smells nice. You label it, you analyze it, but with awareness, you just experience it. You notice the exact shade of red, the way the light hits the petals, the tiny details you've never seen before. You just live that experience. The understanding can come later. This is a skill you can practice. You can go for a walk and just notice. Don't put your headphones in. Just listen. What sounds are near? What sounds are far away? Notice the feeling of the wind on your skin. Notice the different shades of green in the leaves of a tree. The more you practice this, the more you expand your ability to notice. And the more you notice, the more material you have to create with. Rubin talks about this idea of the vessel and the filter. Picture that each of us has a container inside, a vessel. And this vessel is constantly being filled with information from the world. But the information doesn't just pour in, it passes through a filter first. This filter is made up of our beliefs, our experiences, our moods, and our habits. As kids, our filter is very open. We let almost everything in, but as we get older, our filter gets smaller and more selective. We learn to tune out things that we think aren't important or essential for survival. Our world gets smaller. As artists, our job is to open that filter back up, to let more raw data in. The less we shape the information, and the more we just let it in, the more creative we can be. And the universe is always sending us messages. It's always giving us clues. A line you overhear in a coffee shop, a quote you read in a book that just jumps out at you, a shape you see in the clouds. These aren't just random coincidences. They are clues. They are little packages of information on a conveyor belt that's always moving past you. Your job is to be open enough to notice the conveyor belt and then to have the courage to pick up a package, unwrap it, and see what's inside. Part 4. Making Friends with Self-Doubt. Okay, this all sounds great in theory. Be open, be aware, tune in. But what happens when we actually try to create something? That's when the big monster shows up, the one that lives in all of our heads. Self-doubt. That voice that whispers, "You're not good enough. This is a stupid idea. Everyone's going to laugh at you." We all have it. And we usually think our job is to destroy this voice, to fight it, to get rid of it completely. But Rick Rubin has a totally different take on it. He says self-doubt is actually there to serve us. What? How is that possible? Well, he says that flaws are human. Art that is too perfect, too machine-like, feels cold and soulless. It's the imperfections, the humanity that we connect with. If insecurity and fear are part of your human experience, then letting that be part of your work makes the work more true, more honest. The sensitivity that allows you to feel things deeply and create art is the exact same vulnerability that makes you feel judged. It's a package deal. You can't have one without the other. So instead of fighting self-doubt, what if we just accepted it? What if we saw it as a sign that we're human and that we care about what we're making? One of the best strategies he suggests is to simply lower the stakes. We tend to think that the one thing we're working on is the most important thing in the world. We think it's going to define us forever. That's way too much pressure. He says, think of it as a small work, a beginning, an experiment. The goal isn't to create a perfect masterpiece. The goal is just to finish this one little thing so you can move on to the next thing. And that next thing is just a stepping stone to the one after that. When you see your work as an experiment, there's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. There are no rules. It's just play. And when you're playing, you're not trying to win, you're just playing. It's supposed to be fun. Perfectionism is the opposite of fun. So forget perfection. Just play. He tells a great story about working with an artist who is totally frozen by doubt. He introduced him to the Buddhist concept of papancha, which basically means that avalanche of mental chatter our minds produce. The artist said, "That's me. I know exactly what that is." Just giving that storm of doubt a name helped him to not take it so seriously. When the doubtful thoughts came up, they would just say, "Oh, there's papancha again." And then they'd get back to work. They accepted it was there, but they didn't let it drive the car. Part 5. The Power of a Beginner's Mind. One of the most powerful ways to get past self-doubt and our own limitations is to cultivate what's called a beginner's mind. Rubin tells an incredible story about the ancient board game Go. It's thousands of years old and so complex that there are more possible moves than there are atoms in the universe. For a long time, people thought a computer could never beat the best human player. But then, scientists created an artificial intelligence program called AlphaGo. It learned to play by studying hundreds of thousands of old games. Then it played against the world champion. In one of the matches, the computer made a move that was so strange, so unexpected, that no human player in thousands of years had ever made it. The commentators thought it was a mistake. The human champion was so shocked he had to get up and leave the room. But that one mistake was the move that won the game for the computer. So why could the machine see something that no human ever had? It wasn't just that it was smarter. It was because it had a beginner's mind. It learned the rules of the game, but it didn't learn all the human traditions, the cultural norms, and the limiting beliefs about the right way to play. It wasn't held back by thousands of years of human experience. It was playing with a clean slate, so it could see every possibility. This is what we need to aim for as creators, to see the world as if for the first time, to approach our work with a childlike place of not knowing. The more we think we know, the less we can see. Our experience can actually become a trap. It teaches us our limits. But when we don't know the limits, the impossible suddenly becomes possible. This means letting go of labels. Stop thinking of yourself as a painter or a writer or an entrepreneur. Just be a person in a room with some materials. What happens next? Strip away the labels and the expectations. Let go of what you think you know. Approach the task with ignorance and curiosity. Innovation doesn't come from experience. It comes from innocence. The closing. How I used this to finally start my hobby. Okay, so reading a book is one thing, but actually applying it is what really matters. So, as I promised, I'm going to show you exactly how I've been using these ideas in my own life. For a long time, probably for 2 or 3 years, I've had this idea that I wanted to learn how to do basic woodworking. Not to become a master carpenter or anything, but just to make simple things for my apartment. A small shelf, a picture frame, maybe a little stool. It just seemed like a really cool hands-on skill to have. But every time I thought about it, that voice of self-doubt would immediately kick in. It was so loud. It would say things like, You don't know anything about wood. You're going to waste a bunch of money on tools you don't know how to use. You're not a hands-on person. You're going to make something ugly and get frustrated and quit. Sound familiar? It was classic paralysis. My expectations were way too high. I imagined creating this perfect, beautiful piece of furniture. And since I knew I couldn't do that on my first try, I just did nothing. The idea felt too big, and I felt too small. Then I read The Creative Act, and I decided to use my woodworking hobby as a real-life experiment for Rubin's ideas. First, I started with the foundational idea. Everyone is a creator. I told myself, okay, I don't need to be a woodworker. I am already a creator. Just solving a problem is a creative act. My problem was, I wanted a small shelf for some plants. That's it. This wasn't about a new identity. It was about solving a simple problem. This instantly took so much pressure off. Next, I focused on awareness and looking for clues. This was the fun part. Instead of going online and searching woodworking for beginners and getting overwhelmed, I just started paying attention. I became an antenna for simple wood objects. When I was at a friend's house, I noticed a really simple, rustic-looking shelf he had. I touched it, looked at how it was put together. It wasn't perfect, but it was beautiful. That was a seed. I was walking through a park and saw a bench made from a thick slice of a tree trunk. Another seed. I was in a little shop and saw some old wooden crates being used as display stands. Another seed. I wasn't looking for a grand plan. I was just collecting these little ideas, these little whispers from the universe. Then came the most important part, lowering the stakes and experimentation. This was the real game changer. I made a new rule for myself based on the book. My goal was not to build a good shelf. My goal was simply to play with wood. That's it. I went to the hardware store, and instead of buying expensive hardwood, I bought a few cheap pieces of pine and a simple handsaw. My first project was just to practice sawing in a straight line. I made a mess. The cuts were crooked, but it didn't matter because I was just playing. I wasn't trying to make anything yet. Then I took one of my little seeds, the idea of the rustic shelf. I decided to try and make a tiny version of it, one that could hold just one small plant. I didn't measure perfectly. I didn't worry about the finish. I just tried to nail two pieces of wood together. It was wobbly. It was crooked. It was objectively a pretty bad shelf. But you know what? I had made it. I had brought something into existence that wasn't there before. And it felt amazing. It wasn't about the final product. It was about the act of doing. I kept this mindset. Each time I went into my little workspace, my only goal was to experiment, to try one new thing, to play. And slowly, my skills got a little better. My cuts got a little straighter. I learned how to sand the wood properly, and a few weeks later, I built a second shelf. And this one was actually pretty good. I put it up on the wall, placed my plants on it, and I felt this incredible sense of pride. I had done it. I had overcome that voice of doubt, not by fighting it, but by inviting it to play a game with no stakes and no rules. It was all because I changed my way of being, not because I suddenly became a different person. Your creative act. So, the core message of this entire book, the one powerful sentence that sums it all up, is this: creativity is not a special talent you have. It's a way of being in the world that you practice. It's about being open, paying attention, and finding joy in the simple act of making without being attached to the outcome. If any of this has sparked something in you, I cannot recommend this book enough. The Creative Act is not something you read once. It's a book you live with. You can open it to any page and find a piece of wisdom that is exactly what you need to hear that day. Please, do yourself a favor and buy a copy. Supporting authors is how we keep amazing works like this coming into the world. And now I want to hear from you. What is a creative act you've been putting off because of that voice of self-doubt? It could be anything, big or small. Let me know in the comments below. Let's share our stories and encourage each other. Thank you so much for watching. If you got any value from this, please hit that like button and be sure to check out this other video on another book that will change how you see the world. I'll see you over there.